Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Mint Mob Podcast. Jason here, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond over in Germany. We're going to do the usual deal, jump into the market, see what's going on with this massive, I guess massive is a reasonable word to use, with the dump, and what's going on with Goodfellas, of course, and where the opportunities are going to lie toward the end of the year and going into the first quarter of next. So that said, Alex, how you doing, brother?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm enjoying the dump, watching my portfolio go down, and it's great, man. It's like a pretty great Christmas gift. Um, but at least it has been expectable. I mean, if you look at the cycles, you've usually seen a little dump towards the end of the year. You know, people have to buy Christmas gifts. They take their crypto money and take it to buy some gifts. And what's more interesting is probably like to see what happens in the beginning of 2025. I mean, everyone is waiting for Q1. I mean, everyone is expecting numbers to go up, and I do so as well. So what do you expect? Do you think we are going to be rich in April?
I don't know if we'll be rich in April, my friend, but I do know that people do like to restructure their portfolios at the end of every year. It's just part of tax planning if you know what you're doing. And, we'll see what happens. But, by no means do I think that the run is over. I think we're not even halfway in so far.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you ask 10 different people, you probably get 10 different opinions, because, there are people out there claiming we've already seen the top, and from now it's going down. Doesn't make sense at all, because, everything that, like, the cycle has played out pretty well actually so far. And yeah, I just want to see what happens if things do not play out as they usually do, because then there could be a little, like a little bigger dump happening. um but as far as I'm concerned, I feel like, as you just said, I feel like a lot of money is flowing into the markets again. I mean, it's not just crypto. If you observe the stock markets as well, you've seen a pretty red numbers as well. And yeah, money is flowing out. Money will get in pretty soon again. And I mean, the news are you only see good news about crypto. Obviously, with the U.S. government and all the other governments, actually, you basically every day read stuff about new investing possibilities in different countries, like different institutions buying in and everything. So there are no bad news. So the only thing, or the only reason, of markets dumping right now could be like manipulation, obviously, for market makers. I mean, you read that all the time, like, hey, it's another shakeout. They want to get like flat out weekends. um do you think that psychology still plays out, like that people who get into crypto, or got into crypto in like early December or late November, when Bitcoin got like the 100K, that they are concerned now and already sold in loss?
Possibly. I mean, psychology always plays a role, and it probably plays the largest role, to be honest with you. I mean, human psychology hasn't changed for tens of thousands of years, to be quite honest. So, I mean, FOMO is real. Fear in general is real, and if you've got, if you've got real money at stake and you need that money, and you're not gambling or investing or speculating with money that, you need to pay the rent with, or buy, or, pay the bills with, then you're really going to have a sharp eye on what's happening in the marketplaces, and it's going to be very easy to get shaken out. So as long as we have larger buyers coming in, there's going to be a bottom to that. And so when I see people talk about Bitcoin dumping, or a large or broader market dump, what I see is more and more large companies being able to buy in and add Bitcoin to their treasury, in the same way that MicroStrategy has sort of shown people this is possible. I mean, MicroStrategy has basically become one of the most valuable companies in the stock market at present, due to the fact that they've put so much Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and they continue to do so at basically a breakneck pace. So other companies are paying attention, whether it's Rumble. I know Rumble is going to add some to their balance sheet as well. A few other companies that I heard Saylor mention on the most recent podcast he did with Tom Bilyeu. So, it's happening. It's just happening at its own pace. And if the Bitcoin price falls, it just creates a better entry price for these larger companies who have, big treasuries to deploy. So I don't really see it going much further, at least not for a long period of time. And if you're investing in crypto, that you've got to be able to withstand 20 to 30% dips or green candles in either direction. So that's just part of it. So it doesn't really bother me, but I think obviously if you're in that space where you're gambling with money you can't afford to lose, you need to be very careful, very watchful.
But do you see that possibility for yourself that everything could go down to zero?
No.
And like, would it be like, no, you don't see it, like you do not have that fear?
No. If I had that fear, I wouldn't be in this market. I think at the end of the day,
I just wanted to say, like, mentioning that you should just invest money that you can like afford to lose,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, like, I think many people are like, when like you just mentioned it, when you spend money that you usually need to pay your bills, and I feel like there are some people out there who would significantly like would be affected if they lost all that crypto money.
I think at the end of the day, people are affected by all of the decisions that they make, not just crypto decisions. We focus heavily on that because that's obviously the market that we're participating in when we're talking about crypto and the rest of it. But, the broader stock market is probably the greatest, how should I phrase this in a kind way? The market as a whole, since the late 70s, early 80s, when in the US specifically, companies went from defined benefit compensation plans, like retirement plans, to defined contribution, meaning that the employee was no longer guaranteed a gold watch and a pension. They were guaranteed the opportunity to buy into a 401k. And basically all that did was send everyone's money to Wall Street. So since the late 70s, early 80s, the average person has been sending their money to Wall Street for Wall Street to invest for them in the form of a 401k retirement account. And they don't really have any control over it, right? And they do this because it's supposed to be tax advantaged. So the money that you put into your 401k, you don't get taxed on the same way that you would regular income. But basically, if you look at where people hold most of their wealth, they hold it in their house, and they hold it in their 401ks or their retirement plans. So truly the most risky places to be are the stock market and in real estate, because if you're the average person, that's your only two options to either pull capital out of an asset or to monetize an asset. And you're going to watch the stock market much, much closer than you would watch something like the crypto market. And I think the average person is investing in crypto or buying crypto or speculating on crypto with money they have left over. So I don't really think it's going to wreck the average person unless they just do something absolutely stupid. So, the broader markets are going to be what wreck the average person.
But do you think when the average person enters the crypto market for the first time, like, what do you think is their approach? Do you think they step into the markets because they read like, okay, Bitcoin went from 16 to over 100, so they actually go for these 5 to 6 to 10x gains? Or do you think they're actually like investing and trying to keep it long term?
I think they're just following the crowd. And I'm basing that on the fact that, on some of my social medias, like Facebook or Instagram, for example, where I've made some posts about what I've done with my money or what I've bought in terms of Bitcoin or how often I buy, I've gotten a few DMs from people who are like, hey, I saw this was happening with Bitcoin. What should I do? I get these messages from people who are seeing what's happening, and they're just messaging me out of fear of missing out. It's all FOMO. And so my only response is, I don't know your situation. You need to get an education, right? If it were me, I would be buying Bitcoin, but I'm not telling you to do that. What you should do is go to hope.com, where all of this crypto resources around Bitcoin, and you need to do your 100 hours, And when you have a full understanding, then go do what you need to do. And then they're like, well, what about what's happening today? And I'm like, well, you already missed what's happening today. You should have been buying 3 years ago. Where the market is peaking, you don't want to be a buyer per se if you're a new buyer, because your margin of safety is zero. Whereas if you're buying in a down market, you have a massive margin of safety. I mean, so my advice was, and as much as people hated to hear this, was you should have been buying 3 years ago, you know? And I tell them this because they need to understand that if you're buying things that are making new all-time highs every other week, that's the riskiest time to buy, you know? So it's just from a logical standpoint, again, you talk about human psychology. Human psychology is telling these people that they're missing out. But logic is telling them that this is the riskiest time to buy. And, you know, between the two viewpoints, which one wins is just going to depend on how strong the mindset of the person is.
Yeah, but in the end, aren't these the people who are going, like when you usually have, you know, altcoins and Bitcoin go parabolic, that's basically the time when these kind of people stepped into the market, providing the exit liquidity for people who have been in the market and bought like 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's exactly why it's risky to buy when something is making new all-time highs. And that's true of the housing market, of, you know, the stock markets. It's true of all markets. If you're buying when things are making new all-time highs, you're buying at the riskiest time.
Absolutely, but it's actually so interesting psychology-wise that people. I mean, you always see these memes when you know you have that line, 2 lines, and you see like Bitcoin for 16K, barely anyone. Bitcoin for 100K, like a huge line of people, and it's actually it's crazy because that shows that these people like are not here for the technology, for what they believe in or what we believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just the hype, and you see that over and over and over and over again. And I mean, you can basically read marketing or psychology books from 30-40 years ago and it hasn't changed at all, and that's crazy, right?
Truly, man. Truly. I mean, we still have, you know, I mean, we can dive deep into this. You know, this is part of what we talk about inside, you know, some of our coaching practices in the real world. But, you know, there's a part of the brain that, you know, we refer to as the reptilian brain. And that's the part of the brain that's always concerned with food, fighting, fucking, you know, fear, all the F words in English. And, you know, when we're talking about markets and we're talking about, you know, like basic human desires, none of this has changed since the beginning of time. And in fact, like if you look at the brain, you can break it into 3 sections. There's a book called The Triune Brain, and all of the newest parts of the brain are built on top of the lizard brain or the reptilian brain. So that part of the brain is still there. It hasn't been replaced. It's just been built on top of. And so we as humans haven't lost those primal urges. They're just sitting underneath layers of emotion and logic now that weren't necessarily there, but they still run us most of the time, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that on like so many aspects of life that, you know, people keep like doing and reacting to things like the same. Like you mentioned it, like if it's like food, if someone is stuck in like not being able to, I don't know, to get good nutrition or to go to like do his sports or stuff like that, it's psychology wise pretty similar all the time, you know, like um but like in terms of the markets, I feel like there will always be the ones who can profit from that, and they're always the ones who lose because they're not willing to educate themselves, and they always want to like choose the easy road to just jump on a hype train and feel like, okay, like everyone is making money, I have to be there as well. And do you think that these kind of people are the same ones who tend to like lose in other aspects of their life as well?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I mean, if you're governed by the moment to moment, you're always going to be lost. You know, you have to have some sort of strength in what you believe and some sort of value system that you measure what's happening around you in, so that you can pull the signal out of the noise, right? Like I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm looking at crypto.news right now, right? There's an Ethereum page. And toward the top of the page, there's one headline that reads, "Crypto funds hit by 1 billion outflows amid market volatility," right? And that was 2 hours ago. And then 23 minutes ago, there's another one that follows that says, "Ethereum price may be about to surge, history says." So like on the same page within 90 minutes, you have two conflicting ideas put forth. And so if you're the average person that hasn't been following the market and doesn't know what the hell's going on, what do you believe? And why do you believe it? Well, if your buddy next door told you, you know, that you should buy Ethereum, that's probably not a good reason to buy Ethereum. You need to understand what the technology is and what its use case is, and if that use case has a chance in growth, right? But if I'm the person who's just picking up these ideas where, you know, the ETF fund is losing money and one of those ETF funds is Ethereum, oh my God, it's going to zero. And then 90 minutes later, there's another one that's telling me Ethereum's about to surge. Who do I believe? I don't know what to believe, right? Because I don't have an education. So, and the first and best defense against stupidity is just to educate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, getting these like many people are influenced by information they get from, you know, from friends or relatives, or as long as these people think that the person they got the information from is smart, they automatically think that it's a good advice. And this is probably a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I'll honestly, like one of the worst actually the absolute worst investment I ever made was my brother-in-law told me about an oil company in Canada that was exploring, and they had discovered this brand new, you know, oil field, and everybody was going to get rich. And so I went in and I'm looking at the stock, and it's like a penny stock, right? It's trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And so I take $5,000 and I go all in. And I bought this penny stock. I bought as many shares as $5,000 would buy me. And then 3 months later, the stock was zero, you know, because I listened to someone who didn't know anything about anything, and I didn't know anything about anything. And so I got wrecked. I just basically donated $5,000 to the stock market, you know, and I'll never see that money again. It's gone forever, right?
You basically bought a meme coin.
I basically bought a meme coin, exactly, because he was selling me on this idea that this brand new small company was going to do great things, right? And I believed it. Why did I believe him? Well, because he works in oil, right? So what does this tell me? The guy who works in the oil fields as a geologist for an exploration company doesn't know jack shit about working in the oil fields as a geologist for an oil company, right? Like you couldn't get much closer to the source than the guy who actually tells these people where to drill, right? And he was wrong. So there you go. As lesson learned, don't listen to stupid people.
But in the end, imagine if you made like huge gains on that trade. You probably would have waited impatiently for his next advice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if it had been a big winner, I would have been like, okay, well my idea of what this guy is capable of telling me is now validated, right? But the truth is, like, you know, like if I'm just going by what someone says, you know, like I don't work with him. I've never worked in the oil fields or or for an oil company. I don't know how exploration works. The truth is, he could be like the worst geologist in the world, and I wouldn't know, right? So even if he was right, it would be wrong for me to actually listen to him because I don't know his track record. I don't know his history. Now, if he's sitting across from me, a billionaire, and he has, you know, basically bet his life savings on this company and he's going all in, that's a different story because now he's telling me I have a track record of success in the oil field, or in the oil patch, as they say, right? He's been in the oil patch and he's made $1 billion through investing in small cap oil companies. Okay, well, he was someone I should listen to because he has the result. But the truth is, he lives in a nice house in Calgary, and he's got a nice life and a nice car, but he's not killing it, so I probably shouldn't have listened to him, you know?
Yeah, but that's exactly how ex influencers work. I mean, you see these posts all the time of from influencers basically saying like, "Hey, I gave you Doge at 2 cents. I gave you Shiba at whatever. I gave you Dog with head at 1 cent and whatever." And it all did 100x. So the next big thing is going to be whatever coin, and that's the psychology, and that's obvious. Like always, or for many people, enough validation to invest in whatever he shills,
True. I mean, but the thing is, if you're talking about X versus someone in real life, it's really two different things. Because if I'm sitting across from this guy who told me to buy the oil company, right? I know him. I know what his life looks like. I can guesstimate what his net worth would be, And so I can look at his results and see, okay, well, his results in real life point to the fact that he knows what he's talking about, or he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Or he has a result I want, or he doesn't have a result I want. And that is the sum total of all the decisions he's made in his life. And he's 10 years older than me, so, so he should know more than me, basically. Whereas on X, if someone's just posting, "Oh, I told you to do this," and now look how much money you could have made. All right, well, how many times did you tell me to do the wrong thing? And how many times in the real world did you win? Like, what car are you driving? What house are you living in? Do you own land? Do you, what does your life look like outside of crypto and some anonymous account somewhere? Like, if I can't measure what you're telling me against actual results, I just don't care. So if there's an anonymous account posting about, "Hey, look how great I am because I told you to buy Doge at whatever," then show me your full transaction list. Show me all of your transactions for the last 2 years or 3 years. And then we can have a conversation about what actually you created. Because if you won over the course of 3 years, I'm listening to you. If you didn't, then I couldn't give two shits.
Yeah, I mean, most people do not question this, obviously, but I feel like the guy who told you to invest back then, he was probably genuinely thinking that it's like a good investment, while these influencers obviously do it for their own benefit, right?
100%. I mean, he put his own money in, there's a lot of reasons that I could justify what I did, but the truth is I broke my own rule, which was never take advice from people who don't give you the full story or who don't really have an inside track. And that's what happened here. It looked like he had the inside track. It looked like he was well connected, but I come to find out later, he wasn't as close to the company as I thought. And that showed up in the fact that the stock went to zero. So that's on me. It's not on him. I did a stupid thing. I broke my own rule, and you never want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's still, you got experience from that, obviously, and you learn from your mistakes, and that's probably the most important part, right?
100%. 100%. I mean, I think was it Einstein that said like the definition of intelligence is your ability to learn, and so what we see, in meme coins, the reason I get so outdone with people doing meme coins is because the same shit happens like every day, right? Like, oh, this meme coin's going to 1 billion, right? And then people jump in and buy it. And then the 20 people who are on that Discord group pumping the token dump on all those people. And then they run away with all the money. And then the same thing happens the next day and the next day and the next day. And it's always the same person posting about how they got rugged. I'm like, okay, well, you're an idiot because the market has told you that you should have learned your lesson by now. So you're not being very intelligent. When the market tells you this is the way it works and you keep losing, then you don't have a clear picture of reality and you need to stop doing that, right? So the measure of intelligence is your ability to adapt and learn. And if you're not learning, you keep losing the same way, that's on you. It really is.
Yeah, I get that, but I feel like psychology-wise, it's probably like what when gamblers are like they try to like get the money back they lost, and when people invest in meme coins and keep losing money, they just feel like, okay, I just need one hit and it might be close, so I'll just keep trying, and if I hit once, I'll make it all back. And I mean, that's like the worst thing in gambling already. So it can't be good in meme coins. But in the end, the people keep trying. It's like a lottery, and they always feel like okay, they're about to hit the jackpot.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And I mean, there's truth in that. You know, like if you look at some of the best, I won't call them investors, but some of the best speculators, like what they're really looking to do is win 20% of the time. Because if you bet big on a small, on a small, property, technology, stock, whatever the thing is that has the potential to 100x, you can afford to lose 4 out of every 5 times, right? But you still have to be able to hit that 20% win ratio and get that 10x, 50x, 100x, or you're going to be in the hole, right? So some of the best speculators in the world, they aim for a 20% win. And if you can win 20% of the time in meme coins, you're going to do really well. The problem is just most people can't do it. And the reason for that is because the game is rigged. And the game is rigged by people who sit in different groups, who operate as teams to suck you in and then dump on you at a specific time at which they're not going to tell you when that is. And I literally just saw somebody post about this the other day. It was really disappointing because, Stargaze has a pretty good reputation for not being a bunch of children dumping on each other, but they promoted, a pretty shitty project recently that, UWU project that was on Solana and Stargaze. And that project got dumped over the weekend. And so someone was talking about how they got screwed. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, how could you not? Like, if you just listen to the spaces, it could tell you right then and there the type of people that you're dealing with are going to dump on you. They told you who they were in the space, and you weren't paying attention. So I have no sympathy for you.
But do you think that was like Stargaze's fault or like the investors' fault?
Not really. I mean, it is and it isn't, right? Because the whole thing about quality is this argument against gatekeeping. People like to say, oh, well, who are you to say that this project shouldn't be successful or this NFT project shouldn't mint? And my response is, I'm the person who's potentially going to buy it. So I want to make sure that I'm buying quality shit. If you can't prove to me that there's some quality here, then you're basically telling me that you're going to screw me in the end. And I should gatekeep that, right? So on some level, Stargaze is like, or any chain, it could, it's not Stargaze, any chain. On some level, the people who are promoting the use of the chain need to try to promote quality outcomes, or else everybody suffers, because at the end of the day, if we're not doing win-win relationships, the market will shrink rather than grow. And so if we want new people to come in, then we have to seek out and show people how everyone can win. That was the whole idea behind, crypto in the first place. And that's the whole idea behind community. And one of the reasons I hate when people use that word in the space, because they don't actually mean community. They just mean people I can dump on or people who buy my shit. So if we're talking about community, then everyone in the community should be in a winning position. And that's very difficult to do when you're talking about markets. So on some level, Stargaze is responsible because they put these people on. They're like, okay, well, these people can come on and have a voice in a Stargaze sponsored space, right? And that's not necessarily a good thing unless they've vetted the people in the project.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought as well. I feel like, as Stargaze usually has a pretty good reputation, I feel like if I was on Stargaze and I see a project minting, I probably would have the feeling, okay, this project is legit in some way. I mean, when we launched on Stargaze with our Siren Syndicate collection, I remember all the conversations we and you also had with Brady, going through all that and the requirements, creating posts on the Stargaze channel and everything. If I were a user, I would probably think if I mint something on Stargaze, it's legit and like not like scammy or whatever. So yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier already in some previous spaces or podcasts that I said that Stargaze should be a little pickier about what they or who they let launch or who they give the opportunity to launch on the platform. So yeah, I mean, still, I feel like they're human and they're obviously making mistakes as well, and they probably learn from such things and will try that these kind of things do not happen in the future again, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you said it, better than I could. I mean, on some level, if you're giving someone a platform, on some level, you're voting for them, you know, especially if when you give them a platform, you don't ask them hard questions, you know. It's one thing if you give someone a
Hmm.
platform and then you challenge them and you play devil's advocate and you bring up all the flaws and all the faults in their logic or what could possibly happen and have them address it. But in, Web3, we have this toxic positivity where everything someone says is good and positive, and we're just supposed to sit here and like agree. Oh, that's great. Oh, it's so good, and half the time it's shitty art or a really bad idea, and until that is sort of shaken out of the system, if you will, you're going to continue to see people get sucked into these things because someone they respect, said a positive thing or made a positive post about this particular project. And yeah, we're all responsible for that. So we have to be very careful about what we support.
Absolutely. So, as we are talking about NFTs here, we should jump into our little Goodfellas project as well. So, we had a great artist incubator drop on Saturday with Jilly. I think people loved that piece from what I got. I think it was a great, very smooth and seamless mint again. I think Jilly did a great job, also with promoting it and being around. And she was in the Discord, and it was minted out pretty freaking fast. Now we got Christmas week ahead, and Santa told me that he got something for the Goodfellas as well. Would you like to hint something or talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every year, obviously, we want to honor people who are helping us build and grow. And we've got some artwork for you guys. We've got some AUs coming for you guys. And I'm just trying to negotiate the final deal because I'm actually not doing the artwork this year because of so much time spent on code. So I'm actually trying to purchase some really cool artwork that I can get out to you guys. And of course, we want to make sure that we have IP rights to that. So I'll just say that for now, I'm still trying to get the artwork from the creator, and assuming I can get that done, then we're gonna have a really cool little drop for you guys, and just as a thank you. And then of course, going into Q1 of next year, the staking. Actually, let me back up. The staking portion of code is being finalized now. The goal is to have it done before Christmas. We actually have everything in place, functioning and working. The staking in and staking out is all functional. The last piece of the puzzle is putting the code together that distributes the tokens. And so the dev is working on that right now. And then, as we said before, we're having all this added to our server so that we're not beholden to a company like Floppy or a dev who has the keys and, we're screwed for life or whatever, or what have you. So, at the end of the day, we're doing everything we can to own and control and create a quality user experience. So staking we're trying to have done before Christmas, which is just a couple days from this recording. And then going into the first part of the year, the next piece of the puzzle is to finalize the mint pages where we can actually mint in our token, our AU token, again, which is short for Aurum. And Aurum is the chemical symbol for gold. So if you come back to finding quality, finding the gold in the marketplace, that's what that represents. And so we want to hit everybody with an AU bonus so that you can mint into the first part of the first quarter. Whenever that mint page goes live, the token mint pages go live, you'll actually have your tokens ready to rock. And for all those pieces that are kind of stuck in Floppy right now, you can actually claim your AU. You may not be able to pull the piece out yet until they fix that, but your tokens are claimable. So we want everybody to be able to actually mint an NFT into our permanent collections using AU, which was kind of what the whole thing was about to begin with. So that's what's up with that, and we're going to do our best to get a lot of that out to y'all between now and the first of the year. So little bonus on top of bonuses. And then, of course, if you minted Jilly's piece, which was probably one of the most sought after pieces we've done in the fall, we're going to have an added bonus for you there. We're going to give you a bonus that's going into the 21s gallery. And again, this is for people who are holding the art, not selling the art. So just make sure that that's you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you covered it all pretty much. The only thing I wanted to add is that you should keep an eye on the Discord because there will be a wallet submission, and yeah, you guys can just open a ticket and submit your wallet to be able to get the bonus. Yeah, some more information will drop tomorrow, and yeah, I think we almost covered it all now. I think we should be good already. We want to keep it a little short today. We know Christmas is coming, and you guys are pretty busy. So, anything else we need to add?
I don't think so, man. Yeah, I mean, Christmas is coming up, so we just want to wish everyone, a fantastic holiday season, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. Go have fun, unplug, get out into the real world and do some things, and come back in the first of the year ready to have a fantastic 2025, and we're going to do the same thing.
Absolutely. I think you should probably avoid looking at the charts right now. So, as Jason said, spend time with your families, have a great Christmas. This is basically where the important stuff happens in the real world. And we will be back on Friday Spaces right after Christmas, and we'll get ready to kick off the new year. But for now, it's just Merry Christmas to all of you. Have a great time, and we talk to you guys on Spaces.
Absolutely, guys. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.